Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Mr. Controversial, the show that brings a whole new meaning to the word opinion. I was scheduled to release this show on Tuesday night, but due to technical difficulties I had to delay the episode by a day and some time, but I'm kind of glad I did because normally we talk about the Premier League and what happened at the weekend, but I think it's apt to talk about the Champions League this week, and I've made it clear on my profile that I am a Manchester United fan, but I like to remain neutral, and I like to give my opinion on other teams in the Premier League. What I believe is a fairly fair judgment on other teams in the Premier League. But I thought I'd start this week's episode by talking about the Champions League, and particularly tonight, which is Wednesday night's Manchester United game against PSV Eindhoven. And I think it's apt to talk about this game because I think it was a game that pretty much summed up Manchester United under Louis van Gaal, and that is just predictable, boring, laborious. It's another game which you're struggling to find excuses to justify Louis van Gaal being manager of Manchester United at this stage. I mean, there's so many times where you've looked at the team and there's been positives, but there's been more negatives than positives during his time at Manchester United. And people forget now he's been at the helm 18 months now, and it's not an eternity in football terms, but it's enough time to be stamping a positive influence on the club at this stage, especially after spending close to £250 million. I mean, you give any manager, no matter what their ability, that much money to spend at any club, and they have got to be making an impact, a positive impact. He certainly isn't doing that. You look at Manchester United tonight; they are no better than what they were when David Moyes was sacked in 2014. They're just a team. They're well organised, but that's not Manchester United. Manchester United is a team that entertains. They've got a reputation on the continent. Well, they had a reputation on the continent of being one of the most entertaining teams in the game of football, and they're not that anymore. Teams don't fear going to Old Trafford. Manchester United visit Leicester City this Saturday, and Leicester City will certainly fancy their chances of tearing Manchester United apart, like they did last year at the King Power Stadium when they won 5-3. Manchester United just aren't a force anymore, and I think it's time for the excuses to stop. There's excuses. It's Ferguson. You're replacing Ferguson, and it was a legacy of 27 years, and it takes time for these things to happen. No, it doesn't. I mean, yeah, of course he was a massive influence on the club. He was the frame that held that club together for so many years, and obviously when he goes there's going to be a lull. Everyone knows that was understood, and we saw that in 2013-14 when Man United finished 7th under David Moyes. But was that really David Moyes' fault? Would Louis van Gaal have done any better that season when Liverpool played so much above themselves? Last year we didn't see that from Everton and Liverpool. Did Man United finish fourth because Liverpool and Everton were just a bit poorer than they had been the previous season? Did Louis van Gaal get luckier than David Moyes did? Possibly. He steadied the ship, but is that enough at Manchester United that you have a manager that steadies the ship? No, it's not. A standard has been set at Manchester United that they don't just win, they win playing a certain style of football. And okay, you grind out wins, that happens at every club, but for the most part Manchester United have to win, and they have to win well, and that's the standard they set. Ferguson might be gone, but the standard has always been there from Matt Busby. Even under Ron Atkinson, Manchester United played very, very good football, and it's not happening under Van Gaal. This is a man who's actually is giving himself a reputation as being an attack-minded coach, coming from a country where total football is supposed to have originated in Holland. But we're not seeing it at Manchester United. We're seeing a conservative style of play that seems to suggest that he's happier to see Manchester United not lose than to see them win. And it's become to a stage now where Man United fans are saying, well, we'd rather see our team lose 2 and 3-0 playing expansive football and trying to win the United way than draw 0-0 playing this boring, laborious style of football. I mean, we have a Manchester United have a manager at the helm now that hasn't got a very good CV in the modern era. I mean, if you actually look at his CV, okay, he got Bayern Munich to a Champions League final in 2010, which he lost to Inter Milan. Yeah, he's won a Bundesliga here and there with Bayern Munich, but what is a Bundesliga title? Winning a Bundesliga title is the equivalent of claiming some honour for getting laid in a whorehouse. That is literally the limit of winning a Bundesliga. It's not an achievement winning a Bundesliga with Bayern Munich, because They walk it every year. They drop about 10 points every year. That can't be seen as an achievement. That's one of Louis van Gaal's primary achievements in the 21st century. The rest has come when he won a Champions League with Ajax in the mid-90s with one of the best Ajax teams there is ever going to be. He had some of the best players that Europe saw for the next 10 years in that team, and that's not going to happen again. But I don't think he'll get sacked. He won't get sacked unless United finish outside the top four, which I don't think they will this year. I think he'll just do enough to get top four, which will secure financial sturdiness for the next season or so. That'll be enough for the Glazers because of his CV. He won't get sacked. He won't be judged on the same merits that David Moyes was judged. And is that really fair? Every Man United manager should be judged on the same thing. But I don't think Louis van Gaal will be judged because of his previous CV. But it's becoming to a stage now where he has got very, very few Manchester United fans behind him. And that was shown tonight at Old Trafford when the disdain was shown at the final whistle and the half time. You know, no one minds a team drawing 0-0 or losing at home when you're playing the right way, but there was no way a Manchester United team drawing 0-0 with 10 minutes to go in a game they essentially needed to win tonight to make things a bit more comfortable in the final group game, and they showed no aspiration. They were happy to take a point, and since when is a Man United team happy to take a point? So we'll leave on that. I have to look back at the weekend because it wouldn't be fair not to look back on the Premier League action from the weekend, and particularly Liverpool's win at the Etihad against Manchester City, a 4-1 win. Who would have predicted that? It was a result straight out of the jackpot results down at the bingo. It was just unbelievable. But Liverpool deserved it. They were very good on Saturday evening. But as good as Liverpool were, I think City were bad. Their tactics were so naive, it was absolutely terrible. Liverpool played a very, very narrow game, and they essentially played with three number 10s leading the line in Coutinho, Firmino and Lallana, but they did their job very, very well. And you know, if a team doesn't catch on to the flaws in the system, then they deserve to be beaten. And I think Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville analysed the game very well on Monday Night Football. When they looked at it, was essentially that City didn't play wide enough to expose the narrowness in Liverpool's tactics. And while it is said that Liverpool play a very high pressing game, they actually didn't play that high a pressing game on Saturday. They did what they needed to do and they got the results. And credit to them, they played some absolutely fantastic football. One thing I will say for Jurgen Klopp, he has Felipe Coutinho playing a lot more consistently. Last year under Brendan Rodgers and even the season before, he was tipped, but mostly by Liverpool fans, as a very, very good player. And I think everyone thought he was a very good player, but you're only a very good player if you're playing well and you're playing to your potential. And Felipe Coutinho, well, he was absolutely world class in one game, maybe another game. For 6, 7, 8, 9 games, then afterwards he was average. And but under Klopp, it looks like he is getting the consistency out of Coutinho, and you know, Liverpool are certainly bearing the fruits of that endeavour. And you know, if they keep playing like they did on Saturday and get consistent run of results together, they will start climbing the table because teams are taking points off each other. And there's certainly no reason why they can't get top 4. I said that in my last video, that they can definitely get top 4, especially with Chelsea's failing so far this season. As for City, I tipped them for the title last episode, and I stick by that. I think they have got a bit too much for everyone else. It was a bad result. Now at the same time, it's the second time this year that City have lost 4-1. The other one was at Spurs. And that is a worry for a team that you would expect to be title favourites to concede 4 goals twice in the space of a couple of months. It is worrying. It will be worrying for City fans, but I think they do have got too much. United are up there, but there's no way they'll win the title this year. Arsenal's defeat at West Brom proved exactly why they won't win the title this year. They haven't got the belly, they haven't got the stomach. Tony Pulis once again getting the better of Arsene Wenger. He did it so many times as Stoke City manager. He just knows how to get the better of Arsenal. He knows how to get under their skin. And Arsenal have shown once again that despite beating some teams 3-4-5 and looking awesome, they have a soft underbelly, and when the going gets tough, Arsenal just evaporate, they disappear. And it's their biggest flaw, and I don't think that flaw will disappear until they get rid of Arsene Wenger. And also, finally, just to mention, because I said last week I don't want these episodes running too long. A big mention has to be given to Leicester City. They're top of the Premier League after 13 games. Who would have predicted that last year? They struggled to stay in the Premier League, but absolute credit to Claudio Ranieri. He's playing football the proper way. They're conceding a lot of goals, but they're scoring a lot of goals, and that's what fans want to see. Football is about who scores the most goals. It's not about who concedes the least. And huge credit has to be given to Claudio Ranieri. I think a few Leicester fans were sceptical about his appointment, but he's proven them wrong. And a huge congratulations to Jamie Vardy. He's equal Van Nistelrooy's record of scoring in 10 consecutive Premier League games. That's a huge achievement. Van Nistelrooy, one of the most feared Premier League strikers of all time, and now Jamie Vardy's up alongside him, and you've got to give the guy credit. It's not an easy achievement. People won't look at Jamie Vardy in the same light as Van Nistelrooy ever, but you know, you got to give the guy credit. It's not easy, and not a lot of players have done it. And how fitting would it be if he scored against United and started to break Van Nistelrooy's record? But no, huge credit to Leicester, and a quick mention to Everton as well, who I thought were very good at the weekend in beating Aston Villa. Not much was up against them in Aston Villa, in fairness. I said last week I think they will go down, and I stand by that. They've been very poor, they have very little there, and losing 4-0 again at the weekend. There's already a gap opening up between them and safety, and I don't see any way back for Aston Villa despite appointing a new manager. I don't think anyone could save them at this stage. But we're going to leave it there for this week. I'm sorry I didn't touch on every team. I had a plan lined out for this week's game, but it does change. You know, it does change. I think I'm trying to get the best out of every episode, and I just said I had to talk about tonight's game and the Champions League with Manchester United because I want these episodes to be as honest as possible. So I hope you liked the video. Please subscribe. I will leave a link up above here somewhere. Please subscribe, please like the video, please share it, and yeah, I'll see you again next week, guys.